Hey, family, it's your girl. She rambles. Welcome to the Ramble Within.
And I'm Coach O Speaks.
This is Motivational Mondays, our Healing Together series. And today we're talking about those uncomfortable conversations, but you can still have a stronger marriage.
Yes.
Now, last week we talked about trauma and the triggers and the emotional intelligence and all of those good things. But, when triggers do come, it definitely comes in a uncomfortable space, something that you didn't know about. Of course, when you're on a date, you're like, what triggers you? That's not a question you even ask, So as time goes on, we're in the same space, triggers are starting to come up, and now we're having to talk about the uncomfortable conversations because sometimes, even without a trigger, you now need to have a conversation about something that you have noticed that may be triggering you that's not necessarily like an outburst or something like that, or a flash or something like that. So when you realize it, you're now like, oh, I got to have a conversation with my husband or my partner, my spouse, to let them know that when such and such happens, I feel this way.
And to add with that, I'm starting to understand what triggers are and when I'm upset. A lot of times I thought it was just I'm getting upset. I'm getting really inflamed. I'm feeling the inferno developing. And I thought it was just me just being angry or just being frustrated. But no, when we sit there and allow ourselves to relax and start being aware, we start noticing that, hey, okay, why am I getting so inflamed? And then it's like, oh, because in the past, this happened and it was a reaction to that happen. And so when we may say something to each other and it's not that we're intentionally trying to trigger each other, we never know when they're going to happen. And so we start to see them. And what we do with each other is give each other that grace and that period of time to sit there and relax. She's great at calming me down. She'll start cracking jokes and saying some funny things and, "Oh, look, I got him talking again," stuff like that. So it's great. But I always thought it was just me just being so angry and frustrated. And no, I'm starting to see that it's, trauma responses and trigger responses.
And the dreaded, we need to talk.
Whew.
Men do not like to hear, we need to talk. It's just your heartbeat,
What
everything is happening.
anxiety out the woodwork.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And like you said, from a male perspective, most people don't even understand that that's what's happening. You're thinking because you been in survival mode for so long
Mm.
that you just like, okay, that's just the way I am. Somebody pissed me off, I'm gonna pop off. I'm popping off. I'm popping off. But that's not really what you're doing. What you're doing is putting up a wall. You're putting up protection between you and something that you feel like is coming. You brace it. Um, I had cases working for Child Protective Services, and I had mothers that would be like that. And I had this one particular mother, and it's like anytime I was saying something, she was ready, and I was the only one that could calm her down. I was like, "Look, I'm not even coming at you that way. Just I'm here to help you. I understand your previous experience, but this is not the experience I'm trying to bring to you. I'm really truly here to help you." And in the end, she wouldn't talk to nobody else but me because she did not trust, and you have to build that trust, and it's the same in in a relationship. Is you have to build trust. I mean, yes, we get into a relationship with one another and we commit to one another and things like that, but when the trigger comes, the trigger doesn't know if that's the person who did the original thing to you or not. Your brain cannot distinct that.
And she's right, and I'm starting to be aware and notice things now more and more. The more and more that we're doing this format, for me, this is a great tool. I do go through therapy as well as another tool that has helped tremendously for me to recognize a lot of things that I went through as a younger child and everything. And then I'm doing some work with the VA to rectify some situations that I had to go through a behavioral specialist. And when we sat down and talked, I think, what was it, like 2.5 hours or something like that? I was in my appointment.
I'm so sad.
Right. And the lieutenant colonel afterwards was just so overwhelmed and shocked with a lot of experiences that I went through from being born to now. And she was just overwhelmed with how much I've dealt with and how strong and sturdy I am as an individual, maneuvering and navigating through life. But I do see now where, like she said, we need to talk, but it's not with her with we need to talk. It's just when we need to talk, or when we get into a conversation, she wants me to do this back and forth, and not back and forth like we're trying to struggle with each other, but have a conversation of back and forth. And once we start doing
Dialogue.
that, thank you, the dialogue. Once we start doing that, I already start doing this because I have dealt with so much of that, pointing, uh, uh, beating me down, beating me up, talking at me. So I'm already, getting that boxer stance because I'm ready to start throwing, and I'm not allowing myself to see what's gonna come first. I'm just ready to react.
Yeah, and that's how it is when you think about relationships with people. I mean, I've been in the quote unquote toxic relationship, right? Where I'm defensive, you're defensive, we're always defensive, but somebody got to be cool. Somebody has to be cool in the relationship if you're trying to make it work, and if you don't know you're triggered, or you're in denial that you have any trauma at all, you know and you're always pointing at my trauma all the time and saying, oh, everything about you is trauma, 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 and I'm trying to tell you, but you have trauma too. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to keep doing this endless roller coaster of going back and forth. It's never going to work. At some point, people have to take time. Now there is a big stigma, especially in the African American community. Thank God these days, now it's starting to become more and more of comfortability of dealing with therapists, because everything was go to Jesus, go to church, to get out my face. That ain't real type of thing. And we really have some situations where you need to get an outside opinion. And I always tell people, don't knock therapy till you try it.
Yes.
It's a person that don't even know you. They ain't got no interest. They don't know nothing, no interest. They ain't gaining nothing from hearing your story. So they can't add a bias to it because they don't know you like that.
An outside perspective.
Exactly. So they're listening, and then they're giving you tools in the toolbox. And half the time you got the tools already and you don't even know. You're like, dang, I do that already. I
Oh,
do that.
it's funny she says that because every time I'm done with my therapy session, I don't go in detail what me and my therapist talk,
Mhm.
but after every therapy session, I go to her, I'm like, I just talked to you. I literally just I felt like I was just talking to you because a lot of things my wife has said to me and shown me, we look at it like, oh, that's my wife. She's supposed to do the whole thing. So we don't sit there and really open up to it. We don't want to receive it and we don't want to accept it. So we're like, oh, she's just doing those things because that's what she's supposed to. But when I hear it from somebody else, and I'm just like, you know what? That's what my wife be saying.
So uncomfortable, uncomfortable. And in any relationship, it gets to that point. I mean, again, they always say the honeymoon phase or whatever the case is, but it's not even necessarily the honeymoon phase. It's just life. It's time for life now,
Yeah.
you know. And it was life when you was walking down the aisle. It was life when you were courting and dating and all that other stuff like that. But now it's just more prevalent because now are still in the same. You're in the same space, and even if you were already sharing a space prior to your marriage, now the commitment is there.
Yes.
Like it's something about once you put it on paper, oh Lord, so it starts to be a lot of things, and you start to feel like, okay, when I was dating this person, I was presenting one person.
Yes.
Now I'm married to this person and something has changed in me. How do I have this conversation with my loved one when I told them or I presented this person and now I don't like that no more? Just be truthful. That's all you can be. Because I was speaking with a younger couple, we kind of mentor a younger couple, and I was letting her know that, the truth is gonna hurt you r- regardless. I would rather someone tell me in the front, hey, um, it was a nice date and stuff like that, but you're just not the person for me. Instead of stringing someone along for 25 years and then down the line you're like, I'm a polyamorous. You know what I'm saying? And nobody's knocking that at all. But if you live in your truth from the beginning, that's why in the dating part, you have the books, the Think Like a Man, all that stuff to tell your truth in the beginning and all that stuff like that. And they got all these little different rules, but it's just like we're going to change. Seasons change. We get older, we're evolving, we're elevating. I may have liked basketball shorts, wearing basketball shorts back then. I mean, we could look at some rappers and people out here, ludicrous and them with the braids and stuff, but these brothers out here, Curtis got on a suit now. Curtis is 50 Cent, just in case you didn't know. Okay. I mean, he gonna still dress like 50, but when it's Curtis, Curtis got a suit on. Okay. So we're evolving, and it's okay to come to your wife and say, hey, been working at this job for quite some time. He's been at his job for 15. And if he comes here tomorrow and says he no longer wants to work at that place, yes, a level of uncertainty is going to come in because this is an income that we're now talking about. But you come with the plan and we talk about it, and it just don't immediately go off on him. Here, listen. And that's the problem. That's the first step is we don't talk to listen. We talk to be heard.
And what I struggle with is, and she'll tell people that, I don't know if she's already brought it up through this yet, but she'll tell people how I'm the DOS computer, right? And the old school that y'all know what a DOS is, except for this new generation. The DOS was you had to physically type every verbiage of what you want the computer to do. So
Coding, basically.
yeah, you basically got to put every code step in just to sit there and say hi, basically. So I get stuck in that one track mind. And just like a lot of men, we only focus on one thing at task.
Tunnel vision.
When you come in with a woman, it's everything. So what I struggle with her is expressing, not just expressing, but explaining. I either over explain or I don't explain. I haven't figured out that right medium because with this woman, she needs a certain amount of information so she could process it and we could go from there. And I get frustrated because I feel like she should know what I'm talking about. Uh-uh, wrong. And this is what I'm starting to realize. And it's funny because I struggle with it with my wife, but when I'm at work and I'm a trainer, because I used to be a trainer when I was in Massachusetts, everybody is different. Everybody's going to learn differently. So I need to teach differently. I need to be able to explain the job differently based on how they gather and process information. But I get home and I can't do that. I get stuck on stupid.
Oh my God. And the second thing with is if it's a conversation where you have been hurt or you feel like your feelings have, you know, gotten bruised a little bit and things like that, the best thing to do is do not approach it right when it happened. If you already know that you're already heated, that's not going to help the situation because you're not going to sober mindedly be able to articulate what you're feeling. Um, and if you know you're one of them people that just, we popping off, then just give yourself a moment, breathe. You can still be in the feeling. You can still be there. But when you come, we're not saying, well, you did, you. No, we're not gonna do the Michael Jackson. You. We're gonna just you're gonna say, I feel such and such when such and such happens. And that way, the person that is receiving that statement is not automatically on defense because it's natural. Think about it. It's natural for your mind, for yourself to become defensive if somebody automatically comes out the gate and says, you know what I'm saying? You did this and you did that and you did this and you did that. And you're like, what? I ain't did nothing. It's automatic. And when you do that, if the person is already upset, the one that's throwing it, you say that, here we go. Football, everybody's on defense. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be cool and just let them know how you put your feeling in the front first. That way, the love is gonna answer. Oh, you said what? I did what? Okay, well, baby, I received that. And I didn't mean for, what I'm saying, that was not even my intention. That was not it. You're not gonna be like, man, I ain't did that. You always the one doing this because when we on the defense, we trying to throw back and forth and whose fault. And when you did it the one time, how is it okay that you do it and I do it and da. And it's gonna be a circle.
Yeah.
Like we in our 40. I mean, he about to hit the hill, but I'm 3 years from the hill. Okay. 3
Yeah,
years for the hill is 50.
next month I'll be at the
Okay.
hill, okay?
And so we've had experience in these things to know that, nah, I mean, the coming out the gate with the you're going to be defensive. If it's you receiving it, if it's you, it don't matter. You're going to be defensive. So try to practice coming in and saying, hey, do you have not, we need to talk. Just, hey, honey, do you have time for us to talk about something that's important to me? Let me know. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? It's just a way that we deliver things. You're saying the same thing, but it's a way to deliver it because our ears, because remember, he has been in survival mode. You have been in survival mode. He's has triggers, trauma, all this time. We got to remember that it's not always us because my husband did have that thing where he would always say, it's always about you. It's always about you. And I'm like, bro, it's not about me. I don't have the same reactions that you do, or I don't sometimes verbalize when I've been triggered or a trauma is bothering me because I've had more time to heal and work on how to react. My husband is brand new. He's a baby to dealing with his trauma. And yeah, he about to be 50 and he has never ever dealt with any of his trauma. He suppressed it, pressed it on down, and kept on moving, kept on living. And so many of you are out there doing that. You're out here living, thinking, "Well, it unpassed. What am I thinking about that for? I'm gone."
Yep.
But it is still affecting you. It's still affecting you because if you're not truly happy, it's still affecting you, and something got to give. You got to do something.
Well, it's just like what she said, when we did our Friday, drop of the emotional intelligence. When you're watching a game and the game is over with and you're still mad at the first play in the first quarter and it's already been 30 minutes, an hour after the game, and you're still blowing up at everybody and their mama who comes to you, it's not the game. It's more in depth emotional accountability that's happening. And with us as men, especially for me, I have a story. I have a major story, and I did not know that I had trauma. That was not discussed in my family. Traumatic experiences was not discussed. So my wife had brought it up, in many different facets of traumatic experience. Everybody thinks that it's all you're either SA or some type of verbal or physical abuse. No, it's a lot of other things that
Plethora of things,
that if it affected you mentally, physically,
emotionally,
emotionally,
spirit.
spiritually, it's traumatic. And and sitting down with that behavioral specialist and going over a lot of my history, we didn't go through everything, but just going with the little bit in that 2 hours, she was so overwhelmed. Like I didn't even know that I was carrying all of this. So now I'm starting to be aware. And before I was saying words like I'm trying or I never that. So I'm trying to rechange all my verbiage and rewiring of my thinking. And I'm being aware now. I'm being aware that I had this. I always thought it was like, oh, you're supposed to be like that, or
Right.
you're a man.
It's just
Don't,
life.
be strong. You're not weak. Don't cry. Yada da, yada da, which a lot of y'all are experiencing.
Yeah.
Man, I want to cuss, but I won't bump that. Okay. The best thing that's happened to me is going through what I have been going through ever since we did the marriage counseling before we got married and then continued after we got married to pass the class and then continuing and then realizing, hey, I do have traumatic experiences. I need to deal with them. And so my wife set up the therapist and she was at first like, oh my God, what did I just do? Is he going to be receptive of this? Did I just ruin us? Because she, impulsively, she did it without even, confirming with me. But I was like, thank you, because I needed that push. Because sometimes we as men, we need that push. We need that kick in the butt to get going to do things. And that's what she's doing. And ever since I'm starting to go down this journey and go down these paths, I was just talking to my daughter Ray last night about it and how me and her are having this um conversations like we're doing here on this podcast, and I'm being able to emotionally be available for her and my other daughters, but she's got this, like my wife, like the psychology and all this other stuff, so I'm able to just like basically just let it all out with her.
Validation. That's your next one. Validate. If when we don't have the defenses up, You're able to listen to what your spouse, your lover, partner, whoever is saying, and then you're able to say, "Okay, I hear what you're saying." Because one thing we don't believe is that two things can exist in the same plane. Your feeling and my action lives in the same plane. Rain and the sun can be in the same sky. And we feel like, oh, it's just one sided. That's it. I'm hurt. That's it. Okay. I acknowledge that you are hurt. However, I know that it seemed like I was trying to dismiss you at the time. Honestly, I just was zoned out and I did not realize I did that. Diffusion. Because it goes right into our book that we keep telling you about, The Seven Principles for Making Marriage Work, page 27. It talks about Olivia and Nathan because what he did was he did some kind of experiments with some people and things like that, so he can just see how he basically put them in an apartment and then they observed them through the apartment. They told them just live normally, do your thing. And that's how he came up with this book. So Olivia and Nathan were having a conversation about moving and things like that, and then about either getting a Jeep or a minivan, and the kind of was getting escalated. And again, it's gonna be okay. It's okay. Your voice is gonna raise. That don't mean the marriage is over. Doesn't mean you guys hate each other or nothing like that. It's just I'm trying to get my point of view. You trying to get your point of view. I'm trying to say this. You trying to say that. So they got escalated. They kept getting escalated. So then Olivia, because these are the same people we talked about last week that are building the friendship and things like that. And then when they was doing the party and she snapped and he didn't take it like that. So the same people. So when it started getting active and he made a reference to if you were a fly in the bathroom and you heard that, you thought they was about to do it was about to be over. So she just looked in, she stopped in the middle of them arguing and they voices raising, they all breathing hard. You know how it is when you get to that point, like, I'm about to leave. So she just looked at him and she stopped and he knew exactly what she was about to do. And he stuck out his tongue first and she stuck out her tongue and they started laughing. They bust out laughing. So then he talks about that's them and the friendship that they have. And it's basically a repair attempt. It's a statement or action, silly or otherwise, that prevents negativity from escalating out of control. That is the secret weapon to your marital friendship. The strength of your marital friendship, the strength of the friendship determines the success of these attempts. Now, if y'all got a weak ass friendship, me just busting out, "Hey, bro, all right, bro, I'm sorry." You like, "No, you just saying you sorry because you just want me to stop going off on you." But if we have some silicas, just like rolling on segueing into the day, you know what I'm saying? But let me finish this statement about what they said. Even though you think you have a solid, now on the other hand, if you have a solid marital friendship, it doesn't mean that there's no room for strengthening. Anything has room for strengthening because your friendship is a muscle and muscles always need that strength. So you still got to keep practicing that every day. And going into this attempt of the repair attempt, we are an interracial couple. I didn't know you what?
What happened?
Oh Lord.
Do I got the right glasses on?
So, and I am a very strong Sagittarius on fire, blacketed black woman, Haitian descent. I don't need to say nothing else, do I? Okay. So I'm very passionate. I speak with passion. I have always been a champion for injustice in any form. I mean, as a kid, when it was not popular in South Florida to be a Haitian, when Haitians were hiding and saying they were Jamaicans and all that. And I'm like, what? Whatever. I mean, I would get threatened with the jumping. Okay, I got a bunch of cousins. What we doing? Because I'm Haitian. What? And so I've always been very strong when I say something. And again, me and my husband being a baby in the healing game, and he knows who I am. I mean, this is not new to him because when he knew me, I was in a dark, unhealed space, and I was Miranda, okay, from Devil's Wear Prada on 12, okay. If you know Miranda from the Devil's Wear Prada, I was 12 of that.
And I was just like this with her.
And he just was a googly eyed fool. Okay. So now that I'm in a better healed space and the more trying to be on the softer side of Tish, okay. So earlier, because we read these little articles. If you don't know them, the flyovers, they're the bomb. They have them in specific states. It might not have your state, but we just read different states, Florida and other ones.
Yes.
So I'm reading it and it's talking about something with the NFL. And I am not a stranger to always referring to the the s- the s-
The good old
the systemic systemic, I can never say this word, is Haitian words I can't say, but about the good old boys club and just the root of it, of how when you think about, how they pick the litter, so to speak, and how it kind of correlates to things that happened in the black past, of the slave trade and things like that. So I kind of mentioned it one, two more many times for him. And today the the referee hands came up. Goddamn flag on a goddamn play, So he got upset. He was tired of hearing about that and things like that. And I was letting him have it. He said what he had to say, and I was like, but no, that ain't what I'm doing. Because me, I stay calm because now, like I said, I've had more time to be with myself, to practice healing and all that stuff like that. So I understood what he was upset about, and I was like, I get it. I get it. Because I mean, if I was Caucasian and someone constantly was talking about what my race did. And again, it really wasn't from that standpoint. It was more so because he loves football and he saw how that particular piece of football was upsetting me. And he was like, I can't even like it. You're taking the fun out of everything, the thing that I like. I mean, how can I like that shit? And you think it like that? Like, I can't, and he just was gone. So he sat over there, 5-year-old tap, arms just sitting there. So I'm sitting here on the bed and I'm like, you good over there? And I would say stupid little silly stuff, and he start laughing. I said, "Got you," just to calm him down. And then finally later, I said, "Please tell me the point of view. I want to hear it." Because once he says something, he starts to get heated because he already knows I'm getting ready to come strong because I'm a stand on what the hell I'm saying. And he feels like he's not strong enough to stand against me. I'm his wife. I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? Stand in what you're saying. That's all I want you to do. But when I start speaking, I'm like, no, that you ain't that what you ain't finna do is tell me. And he's like, I forget it. That's what I mean. Ain't no point in saying nothing. And so he kind of just shuts it off. And I don't want him to do that. It's a debate. I want you to go, go, go. Say what you got to say. So when he finally told me his point of view, he said, NFL is a business. These people have talent. They're paid according to that talent. Da 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 da. I mean, gave me the good presentation. And I said, I told him, when you say your opinion, I'm not gonna say a word. Didn't say a word. He said it, and I said, and I said, I take that and I validate that because you're correct. It is a business with the roots of that. You see how the two can be in the same space? Because you have some players that will come out and tell you that it is a modern day that word. You know what I'm saying? And things like that of that nature and things. So that's kind of where we clashed at. And in our relationship, yes, racial matters are real. They're real because I have a very strong sense of the black experience. You know what I'm saying? I was in Indianapolis. They still had Ku Klux Klan marches. I come out of a lawyer's office pregnant with my son. And when I went in, there was nothing going on. When I came out, I see the Klan. What? Like, I didn't even know that, staying there the whole time. And then this one lady looked at me like, "You ain't know that they do this, baby?" I was like, "No, because I don't live down here. I don't be down here like that. So and I don't watch the news, so I wouldn't know that." But they do that, and they're federally protected to do that. And I get it, but you're a symbol of hate for me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we have that is the most uncomfortable conversation for us, and I could imagine for him. But I always let him know that. His people helped us on the Underground Railroad. He ain't got to be scared about nothing.
Well, it's not so much that aspect. The more uncomfortableness is my prior.
Uncomfortableness.
I know she hates that I use that ness all the time. So I'm sorry, everyone. If you're watching these and you're like, he's using nest all the time. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't get it either. But my previous two marriages were to both black women, one Jamaican, one Bahamian. And anytime we brought up race, religion, other aspects, if I try to voice my opinion, I got blown up. I got shot down quick. I got talked down too badly. I got basically Mike Tyson, right? And some of y'all might not know Triple G. I don't know who y'all want to call the boxer now, but yeah, I would get talked at and be told how I'm a bigot, a hypocrite, all this other stuff. So it just got to the point over time that I'm gonna get talked at. So I'm not gonna say nothing and I'm gonna be defensive because I'm protecting myself. And that's exactly what transpired earlier today. And she wasn't talking at me, she was trying to talk to me. But because of my unhealed traumatic experiences and my triggers, I don't see it as she's talking to me. I see it as she's pointing fingers at me. She's looking just as a white man that doesn't know anything. And I felt so disgusted and embarrassed and so upset because I'm not this individual. I mean, I do everything that I can to be aware and understand more things about life. Now, yeah, I'm still stuck in certain one way focus, and she's getting me to open that focus up. But to sit there and always be talked down to as a man, it hurts. And it really destroyed me for years. So anytime I feel even the word dismissive, I bring that up a lot because I feel like a lot of times I am being dismissed with what I feel, what I think, and things like that. So I just go straight into my triggers, my trigger moment, my trauma responses, and I just sit there and I do get the childlike,
Constrict.
and I curl up or I'll just walk out and just let it be. I'm about to be 50 and I feel embarrassed a lot and it's okay. And I shouldn't feel embarrassed because I was never taught. I was never shown. I was never given guidance on what I'm experiencing. Why am I experiencing this? I just always thought it was me. So, like, that's why a lot of relationships with my daughters, I don't have that really close knit relationship with them because every time when I tried to speak to them about things, I got cut off. I mean, I'm talking about decapitated, cut off. I mean, quickly. And it was like because I'm white, and it's like, what the hell? My kids are mixed. Like, I should be able to have some kind of say, you know, if I sit there and say, well, I don't understand something, and it's like, what do you mean you don't understand? It's because you're just a white, an arrogant white man and an asshole. And I'm like, I thought that's how you get understanding. If you don't understand something, you sit there like in school. If you don't understand the lecture or what the teacher or the professor is explaining, you sit there and raise your hand. I don't understand what you're discussing. Can you please elaborate? With me being a coach in football, we teach a play. And if one of my tight ends don't understand what's being taught to them, they better speak up, be like, hey, coach, I don't understand that play. What am I going to do? Cut their head off and get mad? There's a reason why they're asking, I don't understand. And I had experiences where when I asked, I don't understand, I got cut off and be like, it's because of my skin color or I'm an asshole, excuse my language, things like that.
Yeah. So you see how triggers they affect our everyday lives, and that's why it's important to have conversations even when you're in the bed in the most intimate space. That is where you're relaxed, everything is cool. Have those conversations. It gets heated a little bit. No, we don't have to go there. We just need to talk. I'm just telling you how I feel. That person responds, you get validation, and you guys try to repair it if it tries to go left, as they call it. And there are going to be many conversations that are uncomfortable. We're a blended family. We have uncomfortable situations there. You know, Um, Children are growing up. We got 7 girls. 7.
7 daughters and 3 granddaughters.
Okay. So it's gonna be some uncomfortable conversations. It's
Yes.
things that they want to talk to mama only about. Sometimes the boys only want to talk to daddy about certain things. You know what I'm saying? And you can't feel no type of way. This is a team. We're healing together. And when you can't do something, the other person is supposed to help you pick up that slack. Hey babe, I don't think I can deal with this right here. This driving ed stuff, you gotta do that. I can't. She tried to kill me. Whatever the case is, but we have to communicate. As you change, communicate. I'm a woman of a certain age. I have moments where I just feel like ice is in my veins. They ain't say that. I didn't even know what perimenopause was. I was like, I thought it was just menopause. What's Perry? That's his cousin. Who is that? And so, yeah, but when these things happen and as they're changing, I had to have a conversation with my husband about my libido and how it's not about him because my husband's fine.
And that's a trigger and traumatic response for me, rejection.
Yes, and I knew that. Knowing each other's triggers helps the conversation to be more. And again, does it mean he's not going to feel some type of way about it? No, because his trauma is still going to tell him that's something personal. So I'm just like, bruh, this ain't got nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying? I can only act upon attraction to you when I can. If I don't, because I am one person, there's one thing in my life that I try to live by is if I can't give it 100, I'm not doing it. We're not going to lay on backs over here and fake the funk because how am I connecting with you at that point? You're going to look down at me and see that I'm just like, no, this ain't color purple. Okay. We need to connect. And I want that when I have the desire to want you, and again, that wasn't understood in the beginning. Oh, so it's when you want it. Okay, I got it. And I was like, this is a medical thing. This is not me. I'm not doing
And
this.
that's another response. See that? That's another response because in my other relationships, it was always about them. Everything, things only happened the way they wanted it. We don't, whatever it was. So I'm coming in with so much that I didn't know. So when she's doing something and she's not doing it intentionally to trigger me or cause me to get upset
I'm
or
giving him
yeah,
information.
she's providing information for me, but because of my trauma and it's unhealed and I didn't know what it was, I'm taking it as rejection,
Yeah.
being dismissive. It's all about you and only your feelings, wants, and needs. I'm only supposed to be here as a provider. Ooh,
Uh,
that word killed me, folks. Okay.
not me.
That word killed me because I thought that word only meant that I'm just supposed to be here as a puppet and provide whatever is needed. That's what I thought. I didn't look at it as what a saving grace it is, what a father is supposed to be
That's
doing,
an
what a
honor.
husband, an honor, a king, a warrior, strength, honor, commitment. I didn't look at that. Okay. So working through life and navigating this leg in life with this woman and having all of this on me, if she wasn't already further in her journey, man, we wouldn't be here right now. We would not be having these episodes on that we're doing. We wouldn't have this format. We wouldn't be using this platform. I'd be back in Massachusetts and who knows where she'd be at. And I'd just be down the bottle again.
That's why I say timing is everything. And whoever is for you, for the people that are single that are watching, your person is there. Your person is praying, hoping, meditating, and tracking you up, honey. And we stayed in the same state
For many years.
many years and did not cross each other's paths because it was not time. Spiritually, spirit knew that he wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. It was not time. And I was alone a whole entire almost 4 years by myself, and that was driving me I couldn't understand because I'm used to relationship hopping. I never had a space of time where I wanted to be I stayed by myself because, again, I was not taught the proper way of relationships and all that stuff like that. And so I learned how to heal in that time when I was by myself. Not to say that that's what you're going to do, because this is why it's called healing together. But the timing was what it was. We got together, boom, 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 boom. Things just fell in, and that's how you know when it's aligned,
Yep.
when it was destined. Nobody can do nothing with your destiny. Your destiny is going to be what it's going to be. And what's for you will always be for you. Now we get to the part of the episode where we talk about where we fumbled. We had a very hard it was tough, you know, having to see your spouse feel something that you're not really doing. But again, I know why he's reacting the way he reacts, because we got to remember, women, men are triggered too. Men have triggers too. And it's going to take a little bit more time for some of them to even realize that's what's going on, because now we're telling them that's a weakness. But men, remember this: your strength is made perfect in your weakness. Scripture. My dear, we had some conversations today, several. Where do you feel that I fumbled?
Um, Emotionally understanding why I'm struggling with my traumas.
I don't understand. Could you elaborate?
Basically, I'm being triggered from my past, and it frustrates you because that's not what you're doing. However, you are still reacting to my trauma, and it's like, I'm not them. I'm not your past. Why are you triggered by me?
Mhm. I feel you fumbled by trying to explain to a black person what slavery is. I was like, what your white behind ain't finna do is tell me nothing. But it was just a defensive thing. And that's what we're saying. When the defense comes up, you start to say things that you don't freaking mean, that you don't want to say, or it's out of order. You're trying to get your thoughts out, but you're in so much defense. You're like, you pulling shit out your head and you just starting to say a bunch of stuff. And it don't even mean it don't, it's not even, it don't got nothing to do with what we're talking about. As far as that, I explained before, although spiritual, although I've healed in certain spaces, I'm still a human. So when we're having conversation and he is going off, remember what I said. As soon as I say something in this state and you throw the defense, who goes against the defense?
The offense.
That's what I'm going to do. Get up off me. So that's going to register as I'm not them. Stop trying me. Stop blinging that up. Blah, 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 blah. Once I calm down, which I do, and then I start making you laugh, and then we can get back to a level ground. And that's why the repair. We have enough strength in our friendship that we can repair it. It's not long, it's not drawn out, ain't no days, ain't nobody sleeping on couches, ain't nobody doing all of that, because we can repair it because it's strong enough. This is why the episode is called Uncomfortable Conversations, Stronger Marriage. So, this is the affirming part. What would you like to affirm?
That even though I have a lot of work that I'm trying to understand how to fix and work on, you are so understanding and so open to my faults.
I received that. Okay. So I affirm that you're doing this work. This is some hard stuff, people. Having to deal with your trauma, first of all, recognizing you even having trauma and acknowledging that thing, and every day having to push through some shit. Because when you go through this trauma thing, you're going to find out things about yourself that you do not like. You're going to uncover some things that you like, what? Why is this in my head? Why? It's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. And we're not gonna sit here and make it seem like this is some pretty stuff. And for a person that has never, when I say never, I mean never. He has never addressed anything because again, he thought that that was just life. We're supposed to go through life and go through these things. People shit on you. It is what it is, whatever. And like I told him, it's a wonder he don't have high blood pressure, cholesterol, gout, freaking no legs, Lieutenant Dan around here because he should have all these things, but his blood work come back like, no, I'm cool. I'm good. Ain't no heart attacks around here. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing, no clog, no nothing. And so, you know, and that, like I told him, that tells me the heart of you, the heart of the man, because having to deal with that type of stuff, again, I can know my experience as a black person. I can't imagine being on that end of the stick where you're with someone you love and not to say he was not taught about color because the household had some situations, you know what I'm saying? We'll talk about that in another episode. But he was the defiant one, like, "Bro, I don't see that. I love what I love. Kick rocks." And still wanting to you love this person, you have children with children with these people, and then they're coming at you in this way, and you're like, "But did you think about that, when we got like, what is going on?" You know what I'm saying? To see the evolution of that, I can imagine how that feels, you know what I'm saying? And then, realizing that, the loss of your father, the loss of your sister, the loss of your mother, the loss of your grandfather, da 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 da. Yes, things happen. People are going to pass away, but it's still a traumatic situation because it still affects you as you go through life. Because the absence of these people were instrumental in your life. You didn't even get to have a life with your father. He was one, for God's sake. You can't even tell me you remember anything about him. Nobody cared to tell him anything about his father. So I commend him in every day showing up and doing the work, doing the sessions with his therapist. I said, hey, you need to uh, not make it cute. You need to give him what's real. And he got upset. And I said, I understand why you're upset, but same thing. My daughter's going through therapy. I'm going through therapy. It's okay. You're not broken because you've been through something traumatic. You're not broken at all. Sometimes you need some outside help. You can read so many of the self-help books. You can watch so many podcasts, but sometimes you need some outside help. So this is why we just came together to just put ourselves out here naked and not keep no hold bar to it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have uncomfortable conversations. We love each other, love one another. This man ain't prejudiced by the stretch of a word. He has freaking black women. All girls. All girls. Okay.
Not the blended, just
All of them.
for me personally.
Okay. And he has the realization of understanding that yes, they're mixed in your eyesight, but society sees them as black women. And that realization when it hit him, he was like, "Oh shit, you right." You know? So I just commend my husband for being real. This is uncomfortable for him too. Doing when I said I was gonna do the podcast. It's uncomfortable that he Coach O speaks. But y'all see how he get up on it. Y'all go to that TikTok page and support my husband. Okay. It's uncomfortable. We're gonna do uncomfortable, but it's in the uncomfortability is where your growth is. That's where it's at.
And I'm glad that I'm going through it. It's like she said, there's a season for everything. Now was this now what is and was the season for me to be going through this experience, because now is the time that I'm strong enough and capable enough to be able to handle things. That's why I wasn't shown, I wasn't taught. Now I'm being shown and I'm being taught. Is it tough? Yes. Is it rough? Oh my God. I feel like I'm crying every day. I do. I feel like I'm just Niagara Falls out here, and I get embarrassed of that because I'm being. I mean, we're watching shows. Every time we're watching a show of something, and there's now almost like everything we watch resonates with me, and I just open up. because I didn't have that. I didn't have those. I was told not to do those things. And did it cause some rifts? Of course it did. Am I perfect? No. Did I point fingers? You damn right I did. Um, can I fix it? I'm trying my best, especially when it comes to these girls. Well, stop it. They're not girls. These women of mine. And that's the thing I gotta stop doing too. She's always telling me they're not your girls no more, they're women. And did I not show them things as they were in that stage of their lives? I'm seeing that now. I didn't. I was just there. So I was like that movie Click, where he pressed the button to get past certain things, and then next thing you know, he was on his deathbed. That's I'm seeing that my daughters are grown now. They're talking to me, and I'm starting to see that, yeah, even though I was there, even though I attended their cheer competitions, their dance recitals, whatever it was, yes, I did those things, but I did not do the vulnerability things that they needed during those
Emotional.
times, those personal attention when they needed it during those key moments of their lives.
Yes. So this is your girl, She Rambles.
And I'm Coach O Speaks.
Come back on Wednesday as we wrap this thing up and get in more depth about uncomfortable conversations. Because it's not only with your spouse you have them, you got to have them at work, you got to have them at church, you got to have them in public.
You got to have them with your children.
Oh Lord.
You have to have them with your children because the point is to try to give them more information than we had before. That's why she went over the different phases of parenting, because each generation tried to give a little bit more to the next. And that's all we're trying to do is to give more information. And this era of technology, it's out there now. It's open and available. Before you had to go places, you had to go research things, you had to make appointments. Now we just click a button. It's like, hi, Richard, how are you?
So we thank y'all for joining us on Motivational Monday, and
Yes.
we help you healed. We know this episode was longer than normal,
Yes.
and that is fine because we just let the spirit lead us where the spirit needs to lead us. If we just helped one of you, we've accomplished the mission that we came out to do because we're all healing together one day at a time. Peace.